Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is J.R. Santiago from Scala, Philippines, service provider of Utel University. In behalf of Utel University and its Chancellor, David Stoffenmacher, I'd like to welcome you to our first Discovery Day for December 2022. We are so grateful that you have joined us this afternoon. Before we proceed, I'd like to acknowledge our participants in our audience from all over the world. And we're also going to be broadcast on Facebook. Um, I see that we have participants from different countries. So let me mention just a few. So I mentioned your country. Please react or say hi in the chat box. First, we'd like to say a big hello to our participants, of course, from the Philippines. So hello, magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. And then from Vietnam, if there are any, from Indonesia, India, and of course we have some friends from Latin America. I'd also like to acknowledge officials from Utel. I don't know if Elias Parra is here, our Director for Operations, and our management team from Scala, led by Al Fusingan, our Country Manager. So again, hello to everyone, and we're so happy you're here, and we look forward to your active participation in our event this afternoon. For all our participants today, we will be sharing a link at the end of our event this evening, where you can sign up and get your certificate of participation. And we'd also like to announce that the video for today's event will be posted on Utel University's Facebook page and YouTube channel, so that those who want to watch them again can do so. And of course, we're also very grateful to our speaker tonight. So first off, I'd like to thank Director Milla for her willingness to share her insights and thoughts on today's topic. We'll get to know her better later, but of course, we wanted to thank her even before we started. Unlike our previous Discovery Day events, we will do something a little bit different today. So in our event today, it will be more like a fireside chat where Director Milla and I will have a conversation rather than her just giving us a talk. It will be more of an interview or a conversation with her. Okay, so let's get started. So let me introduce our guest tonight. Our guest for today is Attorney Lily Freda C. Makabungan Milla, and her discussion will be about strengthening Philippine higher education institutions through internationalization. In our discussion today, we will discuss CHED's policies and programs on internationalization. We will also talk about how Philippine and foreign higher education institutions can take advantage of the opportunities available to them in line with CHED's internationalization efforts. And of course, more importantly, we will talk about how, at the end of the day, students can benefit from all the internationalization efforts of CHED. Okay, so let me formally introduce our speaker. So Attorney Lily Makabungan Milla is the officer in charge and Deputy Executive Director of the Commission on Higher Education until July 2021. She is the Director 3 of the International Affairs Staff, or IAS, Division of the Commission. As OIC and Deputy Executive Director of CHED, Attorney Milla oversees the overall implementation and operations of the CHED central and regional offices, ensures the successful implementation of the higher education reform agenda, and provides secretariat support to the Office of the CHED Chairman, Prosper De Vera. As Director 3 of the ES Division, she spearheads the higher education initiatives on internationalization and programs and projects related to bilateral and multilateral agreements on higher education with international HEIs, organizations and entities, international projects, collaborations and scholarships, transnational education, and National Information Center for the UNESCO Convention on the Recognition of Qualifications in the Asia-Pacific region, ASEAN integration initiatives, and other international and regional associations and partnerships. Wow, that's quite a handful. I'm sure Director Milla is a very, very busy woman. Attorney Milla is also the Secretary General of the University Mobility in Asia and the Pacific, or UMAP, Philippine National Secretariat, and has represented the Philippines as focal person in ASEAN, UNESCO, and APEC, International and Trade, and other various international organizations. But wait, there's more. Prior to her current post as Director 3 of the CHED ES Division, she also served as the University Legal Counsel for the University of the Philippines System from 1999 to 2001. UP5, and subsequently became Chief of the CHED Legal Service and the Director of the CHED Office for State Universities and Colleges, or SUCs, and local universities and colleges, so LUCs concerns. She has a total of 16 years of government service in the Philippine higher education sector to her name. Now, Attorney Milla is a product of the UP College of Law and a member of the Integrated Bar of the Philippines. She earned her Bachelor's of Arts degree in Social Science, major in Economics and Political Science, also from the University of the Philippines. She is globally trained, completing programs in international trade and services, in JTS, World Trade Organization, intellectual property, internationalization of higher education, and adult education. Wow. And she has been recognized by the UP College of Law for her exemplary contribution to public service, and I would say rightfully deserved. Okay, so to learn more about her topic, so good afternoon, Director Emilia. Hope you are doing well today.
I'm okay. It's in the middle of a training, but always happy to accept invitations like this so that we can have a wider audience. Also to disseminate information about what we're doing in the Philippine setting.
Yeah, and we are so grateful, no, that you took the time to join us, and of course, we are very happy to work with CHED in your internationalization efforts, and of course, Utel University will be your ally, will always be your ally in these efforts. Okay, no, so let's begin with the discussion. But before we go on to the serious stuff, I just wanted to ask you a couple of getting to know you questions, because in your we saw your profile. Of course, very, very impressive. And congratulations on your years of service in government. But I'd like to ask you, some questions about yourself. First of all, I saw that you have 16 years, but how long have you been with CHED? And second part of that question, why have you stayed for that long?
I was mentioning to my assistant, I think you did not give the updated bio note to JR because it's still 16 years. I've been with CHED for, my son is already 22 years old. So
Wow,
that means 21 years. I've been with
21
CHED
years.
21 years. And prior to that, I was with the University of the Philippines, Office of the Legal Counsel. So that's an addition of 2 years. So 23 years, in fact, in higher education.
Wow, very impressive. 23 years in public service. I'm sure you have gained, number one, so much wisdom, and of course, um, strength.
So
and
that's only higher education, JR, because
higher education.
yeah, because if you're talking about public service, definitely longer than that.
Wow.
Without revealing my true age. So I've been a lawyer for over, oh my God, for almost 30 years, I think. So
Wow, 30 years.
so that's probably the length of my public service also. Although I
If I
had
may,
some stints in the private sector.
if I may say so, you don't look it. You look like you just entered government 3 months ago. Wow. Well,
Thank
first of
you,
all,
JR.
thank you for your service to the nation, and I'm sure you have contributed so much, and thank you for that. Me, I've only had 9 years, but who knows? Maybe in the future, I'll go back. But thank you for your service. Okay, so next question. More of getting to know
I
you.
think you asked
Yes,
me also why I stayed
yes. Why
in
have you
CHED.
stayed for so long? Yes.
Yes, and it's actually my longest stint in work, for that matter. Um, I think when you're young, you always have that. So I graduated and took the bar in 1991. But then all the series, I think you've stated that in your intro. So you've seen I've gone around. No, I've gone to the three branches. I did the Supreme Court. I did so there's the judiciary. I did the executive with the Senate and the Congress, and now I'm in the executive. But I was also the stint in the private sector, and I almost forgot when I finally when I passed the bar. My first the first thing in my mind was, no, I'm going to give back to the country. So I was a labor lawyer. So my first my first stint really is a labor lawyer. So I did go around. It's always like 3 years. There is always that point that you know that I'm getting bored. I do not like to do this. I'd like to find more meaning. So eventually, I landed in the Commission in Higher Education. It is the most fulfilling job that I had. Probably because it also gave me so much room to grow. I was not stuck in the legal office. As a lawyer, I was not just, branded as, okay, you're a lawyer, stay in the legal office. I was able to take on different offices in the commission, and that made me also grow as a public servant and as a professional.
Wow. No, and true to form, as someone from UP, para sa bayan, so you have given back to the nation. Okay, so thank you for answering that. So my last question for just getting to know you section. What excites you, about your work in CHED? I'm sure, what wakes you up every day in the morning and say, I'm gonna go to work and do the job.
It's many things. It's many things. I always tell this also to in the onboarding or new staff that will come to the office. This is one job that pays well, government pays well, but at the same time, it gives you also that intrinsic fulfillment to be able to serve and also chart, and for education to be able to chart and give opportunities to many. I've been in I had a stint in the judiciary in the Supreme Court. It was quite reactive. You just really have to wait, and then if there are any cases that will be brought before you. I was with the legislative body. It was trailblazing many of the legislation that I was involved with, but it was only in the executive branch where you can truly see that the service, your work, puts so much meaning and so much hope and opportunity for others. The the return is always immediate. Uh, a gratitude, a note of gratitude, a word of thanks from your stakeholders means a lot. Even the simple facilitation of getting their grades or their diploma or their transcript of records, it really meant a lot. So it was really the most fulfilling. So what makes me you know what excites me every day, it is the opportunity to serve and to give back. This is not a rhetoric, JR, because until you have really found a work that is not work, but rather something that you love doing, and then it makes you
Wow.
grow and expand every day. So I think that is also common to all of us. I think we should not find work, but we should
Yeah.
find this meaning in life.
Wow. Very, very inspiring. And I can relate. When I was in government, it was the greatest honor and privilege of my life to be able to serve the country that I love. And I will always, be able to tell that to my daughter in my dying days that I was able to serve my country. So I can relate. And thank you for inspiring us, with your answer. And beyond the compensation, it's really the fulfillment of being able to serve others. Thank you. Now I feel like we know you a little bit better. So thank you for answering those a bit personal questions. So now I think we can go, to our formal discussion today. So today we'll discuss about strengthening Philippine HEI through internationalization. But before that, before we discuss your programs on that, we'd like to ask, what is the current policy direction of CHED with regards to internationalization of higher education institutions? I mean, can you give us specific directives or policies that articulates, CHED strategies on these?
Thank you, JR. And first, I'd like to, of course, congratulate the University of Utel and La Scala, its representatives, and greet, of course, everyone who is with us today all over the world. As you said, there are quite a number of participants, especially if we count probably because this is being live streamed. With respect to internationalization, I will talk not just of the CHED policy, but an overarching national policy. And that is the priority that is given to internationalization and transnational higher education as a driver of the modernization of the Philippine economy. This is stated in the law that is called the Republic Act 1144-8, or the Transnational Higher Education Law. It was passed in 2019. Main authors were Congressman Ron Salo of the Kabayan Party List, and for the Senate, Senator Sonny Angara. It was it's not new in a way for the sector for higher education, because since 2015 we have already issued a policy framework on the internationalization of higher education in light of the integration of the ASEAN Economic Community in 2015. And prior to that, we had already standing policies on transnational higher education, because we have seen how fast globalization has also affected higher education, our borders becoming porous and borderless. So there was already those guidelines and policies by the commission and by the CHED. It's a sectoral priority, but with the law, it becomes a national priority. It becomes a vital strategy for economic development, for economic, social, and cultural development. So right now, the task and the mandate for our office, the International Affairs Service, which is the office tasked under the law to implement and strengthen the transnational higher education sector, is to fully implement it. Is to fully implement, create a national strategy for it, capacitate the people, work also with the other agencies, because this is a whole of government approach. This is not just the responsibility of CHED, it is not just a mandate of the International Affairs Service, but the whole of government, with everyone, like from the Bureau of Immigration, because of the international students, the potential for international students, the Department of Foreign Affairs and the Department of DTI, with respect also to the trade aspect and the diplomacy part of the internationalization of higher education. There is also the role of the Board of Investments, Securities and Exchange Commission, the Professional Regulation Commission, the Civil Service Commission, and many others. I can, you're
Right.
in,
Yeah. Yes. So no, what I get from what you answered is that there's a national strategy on internationalization, and it's not just the job of CHED. And you mentioned all these different agencies which have to work together to ensure that the quality for education of our students is of international standards, so that they can work and study anywhere, and that we can be globally competitive. So in line with that, I'd like to ask a second question regarding that. So I saw that this is of national importance, and and this is why a lot of agencies are all hands on deck on this. Why do you think internationalization is crucial or very important? And if possible, can you give us, maybe examples of countries who have been very successful at it? And can you tell us how they did it? Director. I think you're on mute.
Internationalization is not new. You know, universities have always linked through universities, through their scholars, through the mobility of their researchers. So ever since, I think that the universities existed. Um, but in the 1990s, there was the occurrence of what we call the globalization and the advancement of technology. So with the advancement of technology, there was also a sudden shift. There was also a sudden shift in terms of our approach to education, because before you need the physical mobility, you needed that physical mobility to get to another country. Now we have the opportunity through technology to stay in our country, stay in the comforts of probably of your own home, but still be able to learn from an international university. So in a way, higher education became also a tradable commodity. Before it was only just goods, but because, as I said, because of technology, services have become also a key element of international trade, and and they've seen higher education as one of these commodities. Okay, I will leave it at that because I'm sure there are those who will say that education is a higher value than just a commodity. But for countries that have taken on and have seen that potential earlier than many of us, like the United Kingdom, like Australia, and here in the ASEAN, it's of course Singapore and Malaysia that have seen and benefited from it. They took that, they took those opportunities and looked into the challenges and addressed the challenges earlier on than many of us, and adopted and created a better ecosystem that could put in place also these opportunities for international education. So we've seen Singapore as a hub. They were the first ones that did really the partnerships with the big schools like the New York University and Harvard University, partnering with the National University of Singapore. Malaysia in the early parts of 2000, so also the opportunity to be able to attract students coming from the Middle East and from other Asian countries and to become a hub. And they prepared their own their governance, the governance for international education. So basically, it's really more efficient to study in these countries, and they are benefiting from it. The economic impact of international students is also immense, and we just have to look into the UK and Australia for this example. For Australia alone, we had the training here right now with the UK, the billions of pounds that I think it constitutes about 16% to 20% of the British economy, their international education. Yeah.
Wow, thank you for that answer, and thank you for mentioning that technology now makes it easier for anyone to get an international degree, and that's what we try to do at Utel University. And with the countries that you mentioned, like Singapore, Australia, Malaysia, who were a bit ahead of the curve, on this particular matter. I'd like to ask your assessment, on the Philippine situation or context. Do you think we are on our way to becoming like one of those countries? And do you think we will be successful too, just like Australia or Singapore or Malaysia in our internationalization efforts?
I asked that question also. I asked because, as I said, we have the law now, and right now, we just concluded the second day of the training, and 2 weeks ago we had another training also on putting in place the transnational higher education system, because of that mandate to strengthen it. And I also posed that question to our trainers: Do we still have space? Does the Philippines still have any space, considering that Malaysia and Singapore is already way ahead of the game, and of course the hubs are in place, the UK and Australia and the USA, and now we also learned that uh, South Korea with their Incheon Global Campus is well on its way, and of course in the Middle East we've seen also the emergence of UAE. United Arab Emirates, the Abu Dhabi, have creating also the respective hub. So, is there any space for the Philippines? And that is precisely why we are having these engagements now with the experts on TNE, because we do need to define. Philippines needs to define its own brand of TNE. Even if we may say that Malaysia and Singapore have already, at least on this part of in this region, have taken bigger strides or were more advanced with us, there is still room because our major um, asset is really the proficiency in the English language. Okay, we're bilingual, our medium of instruction, our materials are in English, etc. And of course, English is the for the ASEAN, it is the language for business. So therefore, we need to know the strength that we have, um, and work on it. Of course, there are still many challenges there. If I may continue, as I said, I think the whole system is not yet ready for it. It is not as efficient as what we see in Australia or even in Malaysia. There are many of the quality assurance mechanisms that needs to be in place. We still need to push more of our universities to embark and take on this leading role. And I think for TNE, while many hubs have been created, there is one hub that we need to pursue, and I think it is also a branding for Philippine TNE, and that is the opportunity for us to, to center on as a partnership hub. Okay. It is not about what we can, what bigger or more advanced we can bring to the country, but it is also what the Philippines can share to the world in terms of the dynamism of uh, of our institutions, of our higher education opportunities. I always like to say this: the Philippines, I think, is a microcosm of all the many global issues the country. I have one example, JR. It's so funny. There were a group of students in a partnership between Ateneo de Manila and Shanspо. This is the French university on urban planning, uh, um, traffic in EDSA. So they came here, and part of their immersion is just to sit through massive traffic of EDSA. See, so who would have realized that there is so much lessons? There's so much lesson that you can learn from just sitting through about 2 or 3 hours, and in that traffic. But probably the lesson there is this is not how you this is not how you plan cities, because really massive that because of the transportation problems that we have here.
Well, exciting times. Well, I'm happy to learn that you are still very hopeful, and I think
Yeah.
there is much hope. Of course, our English proficiency and of course our other skills make us actually very competitive in this aspect. And I
Mm-hmm.
think we just need to put everything in place. And I'm glad that, as you mentioned earlier, a lot of government agencies are working on this and they want to make this happen. So for those out there, especially those for participants from Philippine universities, there is much hope. And again, I would like to reiterate that Utel University is more than willing to be a partner in your efforts to help with your internationalization programs and activities. Okay, so for my next question, since you talked about the exciting things, um, what do you think are, can Philippine higher education institutions look forward to in the coming years, given what CHED's efforts and other government agencies? What opportunities do you think Philippine higher education institutions have in terms of internationalization?
Are we talking about Philippine universities or
Yes,
students or
for
graduates?
both Philippine universities and of course, what benefits
For
can
Philippine
students look forward to?
universities, yeah, we will continue our support and our promotion of partnership. As I said, this is something that we are strong at. That the Philippines is a credible, quality partner in many of the efforts that is needed, not just in the region, but I think in very in other areas around the world, and in particular important programs. Um, so we will continue to provide opportunities for Philippine HCIs to develop and to have that international outlook in their governance, in their program offering, in their delivery, and in their human resource. It is important. It is very important if we need to raise the brand and the brand of and quality of Philippine higher education.
Wow.
For the students and the graduates, we are also embarking on together with the Department of Foreign Affairs, with our embassies, our posts, together with the Department of Migrant Workers, um, also and the Department of Trade, on mutual recognition arrangements, on providing also greater exchange of information between Philippine higher education system and our degrees and our credentials with partner ministries or with partner universities, so that it can also facilitate the mobility of students, learners, professionals not just within the region but also around the world. In ASEAN, we're strong in this one by putting up what we call the ASEAN Qualifications Reference Framework. As we build our Philippine Qualifications Framework, it's an objective and quality-based framework that will allow us to understand each other's qualifications, what our students, graduates can do at certain level of their education and their training. It will also allow us a platform for the continuous um, development of lifelong learning opportunities also for everyone.
Well, I mean, it's exciting that you have programs and activities not just for the HEIs, but also for the students now. So now after I've asked about Philippine higher education institutions, now I'd like to ask about foreign higher education institutions. What opportunities do you see for them? And what opportunities can they take advantage of? First, to help in internationalization efforts, and of course, to help them also provide education to Filipinos.
The transnational higher education law is really a very good platform, and according also to the experts, it's really a very novel law, no? In the region, because it does not only provide opportunities where foreign universities can participate in the Philippine higher education sector, but it allows them also mechanism on how they can partner with Philippine universities. Because at the end of it, what we want to have is a mutually beneficial relationship. It is not just international universities coming to the Philippines and probably competing with our local universities. We should be able to drive our transnational education to a point that the international universities will have a stake in developing Philippine higher education as a quality higher education provider and destination for international students. There must also be that sincere desire to develop the institution that they partner with, together with the faculty and staff of that institution. That is the vision for it.
Mm. Well, I mean, we're very interested in this particular piece because we are a foreign university. But in relation to that, Utel University being an online university, so in general, do you think there are also many opportunities for international online universities to participate in internationalization efforts of CHED?
Well, JR, the transnational education, as I said, the law is in place. But prior to that, there was also the enactment of the distance and open education law. And I think these two will have to work hand in hand. Technology is there. Uh, we need to make the two laws work together. That is the partnership and the provision for distance. And I think when before distance and online education and open education was more of a non-conventional type, now it's becoming because of the pandemic, it has now become mainstream. So that's why in the Philippines we evolve what we call the flexible learning system. So for international universities that do the distance, to be very honest, also JR, while we have the two laws, I think there's still a lot of um, enabling uh, policy and regulatory framework that we need to put in place. The the confidence on an online education still needs to be built up. We still need to also make sure that more than the provision of the education, it is the assessment of what you learned on an online platform that is also very important. The opportunity is there, JR, but there is also the opportunity to build a quality assured system that can put trust into this kind of program. So I think for universities that do the distance in the online, the Philippines is a very good partner because we have these two laws that can work together. We have the openness to accept it because we have already integrated flexible learning into our system. But there are still many things that need to be done, as I pointed out. It is building the confidence and building the confidence through a quality assured system, and then promoting and advancing the distance education that is quality assured towards for other countries. It should be part. It should be part really. I believe that we cannot say that we'll have to all go back and do the face to face again. I think we're way past that. The pandemic had taught us that the way forward really is distance open and flexible learning. But we all have to work together also to build that trust in that system.
Well, thank you for those insights. No, very important to us, no, as we try to build confidence, no, among our students and the public about online education. And again, we're willing to work with CHED, no, to ensure that we can mainstream this kind of delivery of education.
Yep.
Okay, no, thank you, no, for those answers. Very exciting prospects indeed. Thank you also for the very good discussion so far, Director Milla. But for now, we will let you rest for a bit, no, for 10 or 15 minutes, and we'll get back to you on the second half of our discussion after a few minutes. So we'll see you in a few minutes, Director Milla. Okay. So now, no. Again, at this point, thank you so much for staying with us and listening. We'll have Director Milla again in our second half. So now, we'd like to take this opportunity to talk about Utel University, tell you more about us, no? So that you get to know more about us and what we do. So let me just share presentation. Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay. All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so today I'm here to talk about Utel University. But we'll do it in an unconventional way instead of just giving you a typical or traditional audiovisual presentation. I'd like to talk about what you can discover if you study with us at Utel University. At Utel University, we believe we believe in making our students unstoppable through the education that they get from us, and we want to change their lives. And here's what you'll discover. Okay, so why are we presenting ourselves this way? Well, we actually were thinking of ways to present ourselves in events like this. And then we came across this article online of 10 things to look for when picking an online school from bestaccreditedcolleges.org. And we looked through the list and we were so happy that of the 10 things there, we have all of them. So here's what you'll discover that we have. But before that, I'll discuss who we are. We are a digital native university, which means we started out as an online university, and we're headquartered in Mexico. And every day we combine technology and our expertise to provide our students with innovative, affordable, and world-class learning experiences, which are 100% online. You can study anywhere, anytime. And before I tell you more of what you'll discover, I'll tell you our why. I asked Director Milla earlier, why why does she love going to work? And our why, for us, why do we wake up and do the job? Well, it's because of this. We want to help people become unstoppable through education because we believe that when you get a good education, you have the tools, the capacity to change your life for the better, not just your life, your family, your community, and even your country. And at Utel University, we want to change lives for the better. So that's what we do every day, change lives for the better. So number one on the list, they said, look for experience. And does Utel have that? Of course we do. We've been doing this for more than a decade now. And ours is a history of innovation, to always provide the best learning experience possible to our students. And throughout those more than 10 years, our students, we have about 115,000 global community of students around the world in more than 63 countries across 6 continents. And we have about 1,000 experienced course instructors from Europe, from France, from Africa, South Africa. We have from Asia, of course, and then from the United States, and then from Latin America. We have professors and course instructors all over the world. And as seen through the history of Utel University, which is a history of innovation, you'll see that from the moment we had our first class in 2011, the first class of 50 students, and our first graduation in 2015, we have now grown into 115,000 students, and we have gotten accreditations and recognitions along the way. First, we've been recognized by FIMPES, which is an accreditation agency in Latin America. And of course, Utel University is recognized and accredited by the Ministry of Education of Mexico. So our degrees are accredited by a credible government agency. And then we've also have been able to get US equivalency for our courses. And most recently, we got accreditation from ASIC, which is a UK-based accreditation agency, which recognizes the quality of education of universities. And actually, ASIC, for FIMPES, as I mentioned earlier, Utel was actually the first online university to get accreditation. And for ASIC, we're actually the first university out of Mexico to get full accreditation from ASIC. And of course, we're always looking to working with accreditation agencies for them to assess the quality of education, to ensure that our students only get the best. And we're also working, of course, with relevant government agencies, including CHED, in the countries where we have students, to help our students maximize the degrees that they earn from us. And which leads me to the second item on the list, accreditation. And yes, Utel has accreditation. We offer internationally recognized undergraduate and graduate degrees. And as I mentioned, here are some of our accreditation. Of course, by SEP, which is the Ministry of Education, Secretaría de Educación Pública of Mexico. Then you have FIMPES again, as I mentioned. Then we have US equivalency of our courses. So that means that our courses have been deemed equivalent to any degree in the United States. And also ASIC and other regional organizations that we belong to. Okay. Number 3, They said, look for an online university that can provide flexibility and convenience. And of course, Utel offers flexible and convenient learning experiences. This is how. No, we provide accessible and inclusive degrees and programs because our courses are very affordable. Our tuition are very affordable because our goal is to make it accessible to the most number. And of course, we provide undergraduate and graduate degrees, which is of high quality. We provide 24/7 support. You can contact us anytime for any help that you may need in your studies. Of course, we're affordable and very convenient. You can study anytime, anywhere. And then we also have multiple assessment formats. Our students can choose how they are assessed, either through exams, projects, and papers, and other methods that are available. And of course, we have different course loads and completion, which means, for example, if you don't have the time for 4 years, then you can finish a bachelor's degree in 2 years and 10 months. You just have to do the intensive track, so you'll have to take on more modules. And then for a master's degrees, you only need 18 months to finish it. And then they said, look for new student orientation. Do they help their students navigate their way? Now, from the from the moment we call you, our enrollment advisors call you, and our student advisors guide you throughout your journey. We are there for you 24/7. Our enrollment advisors will give you information on our courses and degrees and how you can enroll, and they will help you with all your requirements so that you could get in Utel University. And then the moment you're enrolled, you're now turned over to our student success advisors who will guide you from day one until you graduate. They will help you with your needs. For example, you need to set appointments with your professors. You need help with asking for maybe an extension or anything you need with your studies. Our student success advisors are available to you 24/7 through chat. And even they call you once a week to check on how you're doing, so to ensure that you are successful. And of course, we have a lot of orientation videos that your students can watch to help them navigate their way through that. Number 5, we're halfway the list. Program diversity. We offer different various degrees and programs. And of course, Utel University does that. They offer degrees and programs across different disciplines. And here are the courses we are offering Asia now. All our courses, all the English courses we offer for Asian market. So across different disciplines, across engineering, economics and administration, humanities and education, of course, for undergraduate, graduate degrees. And of course, our hotel teachers, they're the ones who teach and guide our students and share their expertise and their wisdom. So we have academics, of course, and of course we have industry practitioners who can help teach our students real-world knowledge that they will need to succeed in the workplace. And on top of the degrees that you will get from us, and of course the world-class education you get, the teaching you get from our professors, we also provide certificate courses on top of your diploma, which means, depending on your course, we have a partnership with Coursera. For example, if you are studying business, you will have access to at least 2 certificate courses from Coursera from these different universities. For example, a business analytics course from from Northwestern University or even National University of Singapore. So depending on your course, you will have access to Coursera certificate courses. So we added value to your degree. So on top of your diploma, you get certificates as well, which will help you, become more employable. Number 6, they said, look for program and class availability. Do we offer accessible programs and classes? Yes, we do, because we have ongoing enrollment. As of the moment, we open classes every 2 months, so you don't have to wait a whole 6 months or a whole year to enroll with us. Every 2 months, we open classes. And of course, not only our programs are accessible, but also our instructors and our student success advisors, whom you can interact with through our learning management system, again, 24/7. Number 7, they said, look for a university that will help you with your career for jobs after you graduate, or even while you are studying with us. And at Utel University, they have partnered with recruitment companies, including Recruit Day and Job Find. Recruit Day is a Philippine job portal, and Job Find is a job portal in India. So we partner with them to help provide access to our students good jobs and good careers to help them change their lives. And we also go into corporate partnerships, which can, which develop into internship, apprenticeship programs, and even eventual hiring. for our students and our alumni. And some of these partners include Energizer Philippines, Centric IT Group. We have BPOs like Telework PH, tech companies like Day One, and even NGOs, including Make-A-Wish Foundation and Foundation of Communication Initiatives. So we are very focused on student impact, which includes careers. So this is why we do what we do. We partner with job portals, with companies, and to ensure that our students and alumni have access to good careers and jobs after they graduate. And no, of course, we are very proud uh, of the more than 100,000 student community that they have. We have about 20,000 alumni now. And based on our tracking, because we don't stop at giving them the diplomas, we also keep track of them after they graduate. We have seen that 82% of them have found good jobs because of their education with us. And more than half have dabbled into entrepreneurship, which is very good. We're very proud of that. And 37% have been promoted uh, because of their education with us. We're still very proud of that. But what we are most proud of is our net promoter score. This score measures how they speak about us to their friends and their families. And in our industry, in the ed tech industry, a score of 30 to 50% is actually very good. We have a 62% grade, which means when they speak about, when our students and alumni speak about us, they actually encourage their families and their friends to also study with us. Number 8, almost done. Do we provide student support? And I'm here to tell you that Utel University prepares students for the future, and it actually continuously improves the student online experience. So how do we do that? By providing our students with a 24/7 platform, again, which they can study anytime, anywhere. All they need is a gadget, phone, a desktop, a laptop, or a phone, or a tablet, and an internet connection, and they're good to go. They can study with us. And again, the key to our success is the student success advisors, who guide our students again from day one until they graduate. They are there to ensure their students succeed. Number 9, they said look for a good learning environment, user-friendly learning management system. And I'm here to tell you again, that Utel provides a very student-friendly environment. Students, how? Well, through the education model. First, you provide international education, we build a community, as I mentioned earlier, and we provide flexibility to our students. Our platform is adaptable, available 24/7, and then we keep track of our learning management system. Maybe there are pain points and we fix it right away. Of course, we also monitor our students for our learning management system, which is why our student success advisors can intervene early. Then we deliver our courses through videos, even synchronous classes once a week. But don't worry, if you can't attend those synchronous classes, you can always download the video later and watch it. And then we have practice lessons. We even use social media and events like this, what we have now, to provide content for our students in our online global community. And then we have a library. It's free to use. We have thousands of materials. There are free ebooks, case studies, name it. And again, students don't have to pay for access to this library, so they don't have to pay for books when they study with us. Last on the list, online resources. Do we provide students the tools they need to do well? Of course, Utel University, that's very important to Utel University. And let me just reiterate what I mentioned. We do that through the multimedia content that we produce for our students, when we record our professors, videos they can watch, practice lessons they can do on their own. Of course, the library, again, I cannot emphasize that enough. Thousands of materials free of charge. They can access all of these. And then our events. Today is a Discovery Day event, and we will put this in our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, and our students and our alumni can access it. I'm sure they are learning so much from Director Milla today, as I am. And we will continuously do these events and do this content for all our students. So let me just summarize. So Utel University is in the business of changing lives. And how do we do that? First, by providing a flexible digital campus for all our students so they can use anytime, anywhere. And then we provide personal coaching through our course lecturers and of course our student success advisor. Again, they ensure that you succeed with us. And then we go into partnerships like Coursera and other tech companies to provide the best technology the best student experience for our students. And then we network with corporations and job portals to ensure that we have good student impact in their careers and in their professional development. And again, your diploma with us, it's like a passport to the world. You can use it anywhere to study further or to find good jobs. But don't just take it from me. Here's a testimonial from one of our students from the Philippines. Her name is Raniza. And she says that what she likes most about Utel is that she can still study even though she has a very busy schedule. And given that it's 100% online, she can study at her own pace. And her impression is that the instructors are very competent and highly qualified. And student advisors are very, very helpful. And she likes that, the opportunity to be classmates with different students from different countries, which of course widens her worldview. She's very helpful. She's very happy about that. So, and we hope that maybe some of you who may be interested to study with us will find the same experience. And if you want to know, if you get more information, please go to our website and you can access the chat option there to talk with our enrollment advisors. And even if you give us your information, your phone number, you'll get a call from your enrollment advisor. You can even go to our Facebook page, ask questions there, ask through Messenger, and our enrollment advisors will be more than willing to answer any of your questions or to help you enroll with us. Okay, right. So thank you for listening to that. And now I hope you know a little more about us. And I hope that through that, I was able to share with you our mission and our purpose of changing lives through education. I see that we have some questions and some comments from our participants. So to our other participants, please feel free to write in your comments in the chat. And later, at the end of our segment, we'll have Director Milla answer those questions. And if you have questions for me as well, I'll try my best to answer them. Okay, so now I think Director Milla has been able to rest for a bit. So let's continue our discussion with her. Director Milla, let me just, okay. There, welcome back. I hope you're able to take a good break. So let's continue our discussion to continue the exciting prospects that you were talking about earlier. Okay, so now I'd like to know, because you talked about the policy, the laws, enable all these efforts in internationalization. Can you give us current projects or specific projects or programs that CHED has with regards to the policies that you mentioned?
Thank you, JR. With respect to your question on what are the current programs that we have, there's a lot actually. So of course there are. We continue our action plan or our roadmap goes through the four pillars. So we call that our four pillars of higher education, which is the sector, the institutions, the graduates and the learners, the persons in higher education, and the systems. So in every pillar, we have specific programs, we have targets, and we have programs and activities. We're doing right now the next stretch of the plan, which is from 2022 to 2028. We are also updating and calibrating it, considering also the accomplishments that we have achieved in the past 4 or 5 years. So to name just a few, right now we are embarking on what we call the National Roadmap for Global Competencies in Communication Skills. We have concluded a series of master classes that would seek to capacitate teachers, master trainers, on how they can integrate the common reference for languages, CFR, into their curriculum. We also have the continuing program, of course, in terms of scholarship with the Fulbright, with the British Council, and the transnational education scholarships. We have also um, shorter programs, trainings, and professional qualifications program that we call the International Continuing Professional Education. But overall, we're also constant in our mentoring. We always make ourselves available upon request by the institutions as they develop their respective strategic internationalization plan or development of their international programs. On the ASEAN level, we have several commitments as a country and as a ministry, all towards the development of a common higher education space. So, and these are just to name a few. Of course, we also have what we call our edutourism or study PH program, which in itself has a whole framework that leverages on international partnerships, as we also work on developing local partnerships among our HAIs, so that we can um, achieve collectively targets in the sustainable development goals, and it will take on different programs. These are grants that we provide to state universities and colleges as they build their institution, their university as a potential tourism destination, as they also build their international programs that they can use with their partners, that they can share with their partners, utilize with their partners on a COIL project or a collaborative online international learning. So there are many things that we do. It's what is important though is that it has to align also with the targets um, that we have in our pillars in the roadmap.
Wow, so many. So just to name a few, you
Just to
mentioned a
name
lot,
a
but
few.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean, it's exciting. I mean, there are many opportunities for ACIs to participate, which leads me to my next question. You mentioned these programs and activities. How can HEIs actually participate in some of your programs? I'm sure not all HEIs know how to do it. Do they just call you? Do they enroll? Do they apply? How can an HEI
Well,
go to CHED?
actually, we have a continuing call. We have a continuing call for their international programs that they can submit to the commission. It goes through a particular technical working group that would vet that proposal. But that would be with respect to the grants. This would be the grants for the study PH or the edutourism programs. There is and for the international continuing professional education. But for the scholarships, it is more institution directed, and the support is first to the institution. It's the institutions that put out the notice for the scholarship. For the projects like the national roadmap, we do that by zonal. So there is also an invitation and an open call for representatives of institutions to participate in the many training and capacity programs that we have.
Well, I'm happy that any HEI can actually again apply
And
for
they can,
grants,
of course,
projects. Yeah.
yeah, they can go to our website. We also announce it in our Facebook page. But eventually, what part of our targets is to really establish a particular site where all of our stakeholders and partners can go check out our existing programs, opportunities, and basically also to share best practices.
Nice. I mean, that would be very helpful if they just have one place they can go to and
Yeah.
have access to all information they need. Okay, so part of my last few questions, number three is, I'd like to ask you, Director Milla, with all the things CHED is doing on internationalization efforts. And of course, I'm sure not everyone is open or not everyone is aware. But for me, what is your message to all ACIs, Philippines and foreign ones, so that they can take advantage of these programs and work with CHED? What's your message to them?
The Philippines is a bounty of opportunities. We have, we're open for partnerships. We're open for many opportunities also that can be provided. There is the legislative and policy framework that can support this. But I think eventually what we really aspire for, and this is something also that we have cascaded to our institutions, is that the partnership must be a balanced one, a meaningful one, and one that is transformational, not transactional. It must be able to have that mutual interest to develop each other's institutions, that mutual interest to bring forth better graduates and better students who will have a stake in the future of this planet.
Wow.
Um, we are we are not here just to, just to do the business as usual thing. This is a crucial point in humankind's history. And I think we should really take on um, the challenges collectively and work together. So I think we truly hope, and there's still that hope that that we can change many of the things that that were not right previously, where we can have the opportunity to have healthier, happier, more peaceful citizens in a just and inclusive society.
Well, perfectly said. I couldn't have said it better myself. And no, I really like what you said, that we are not here just to make a profit or to make money. We are here for the students, everyone in the education sector. And again, it's very inspiring. And I'm sure in behalf of Utel University, we're very inspired to work with you some more and even more to ensure that we make a contribution, not just to
Yeah.
our AGIs, but of course to our students, the most important stakeholders that we have, so that they can change their lives for the better, have better careers, have better lives, and
Yeah.
change this world for the better, as you mentioned. So thank you
Yes.
for that. So now I
Yes.
think we can
And we're looking
answer. Yeah,
forward really for hotel to, also make that meaningful contribution in improving that landscape on the distance and online um, sector in higher education.
again, I'd like to reiterate, we are more than willing to help and to contribute what we can, and that is why we really want to work with you, and we are. That's why we also have this event today. It's also a reiteration of our commitment to improving in helping your internationalization efforts. Okay, I guess we can answer some questions from our participants. I had a few, sorry. So the first question I had, this is quite a tricky one, attorney. So Attorney Milia, what is your take on the budget constraints that is identified as one of the main hurdles in internationalization in a state university where I belong to, wants to realize its internationalization goals and programs, but we are stumped on how we can even get the budget to do those things. Wow,
Yes.
first question, quite tricky. So please.
Yeah, well, there are many forms of internationalization. And if you look into that, do not look into the activities of international education, but rather what is the desired outcome when we embark on internationalization. If you look at the definition of internationalization as propounded by the experts, internationalization is not just about what is outside, but importantly, what we have also locally. because internationalization is also about being intercultural. One of the outcomes of internationalization is to develop intercultural competencies for students, which is very important as they embark on a um, uh, global workplace in a global community. So if that is the case, so how do you develop? So you ask the institution, the leadership should ask themselves, how can I now develop that intercultural competencies for students? So there are a lot of cultural communities, indigenous communities in the Philippines. There is also what we call home-based internationalization. And by using also technology, you can actually leverage that to be able to enable your students to experience, to have a unique experience with a partner institution. We can never send all our students abroad. Even the data, the international data, the worldwide data would show that there's only a small portion of a student of the student population that can go abroad. But we can leverage the partnerships uh, locally and internationally. We can use also technology. We can also, what we can also do, and this is important, part of internationalization is internationalizing the curriculum. That way, your students are able to gain knowledge and competencies based on the teaching, learn through a curriculum that is an international perspective. And also, of course, faculty that are also adept or that have that international outlook also. So
Thank you. Thank
yes,
you.
it's so there's a way to do it. And I think I don't know which state university you come from, but the first thing that your institution should do is reach out to partner institutions, reach out to partner soups, because that is how we develop our own internationalization brand, and that is by working together. Bayanihan, sabihan nila.
Wow, that's a really good answer. I mean, uh, reach out, ask for help. And of course, I'm sure Chad would be more than
That,
willing to assist, yeah, and help. And
yeah.
again, no, I've been in government, and as the saying goes, don't ever let the lack of budget limit your creativity in coming up with things that can help your stakeholders. But of course, all the best in your efforts, and please do reach out to other partner SUCs and even to Chad. And I'm sure they'd be more than willing to assist in your efforts. Okay, there's a question here, sorry, Emilia, but I don't know if it's directed to you, but I don't want to put you on the spot, so let me be the one to respond to it. Sarah Jane Garcia, on Facebook Live, is asking, I am from the Philippines. Will CHED recognize my degree from hotel if ever I finish my master's degree program? Okay, so again, I don't want to put you on the spot, Attorney Emilia, but what I can say is that, of course, being the diploma being given by the Ministry of Education of Mexico, it's an internationally recognized degree. But I'd like to inform everyone and also update everyone that, again, we're currently working with CHED to ensure that our students can maximize the degrees that they earn from us. Number one, we are actively working with IAS to ensure that Utel University is on that list of universities that they recognize worldwide. So we're working with them, and they've been very helpful in this effort. And we're also working with OPSD of CHED. We're having them review our programs for those alumni who will need equivalency certificates. Not everyone will need that, but of course, for those taking professional exams who may need it, we're as early as now, we're working with OPSD. So by the time our alumni graduate, they will have all the necessary requirements and documents they need to submit to CHED, so that they will be given a certificate of equivalency so they can take the exam, they can take further studies abroad, and for some who need it, find that good job that they've been looking for. So I answered that, Dr. Amelia. Again, I didn't want to put you on the spot. Okay, I guess
and,
let's
you-
see if
and you're right, you're right.
yeah,
It's a per student basis right now, but of course on the long term, that is something that hotel can really work with SHED. And
yes.
And that was the invitation actually also to, to be more transparent and to be more open, of course,
Yeah.
in your operations. Thank you.
And in relation to that question, she asked again, can I take my let again? No, we'll help you get the certificate of equivalency when you graduate, so that you can take that professional exam. Okay, we have another question here from Rodora. No? So how does CHED encourage HEIs in terms of accepting the academic completions of Philippine non-formal education like ALS to continue their education? I mean, a bit off topic, but I think it's a relevant question.
Yeah, we have, and thank you for that question. That is actually how universities should be shaped for the future. Um, it must not only take on the formal track. And so that's why we have what we call our national qualifications framework, or the Philippine qualifications framework. It is again also by law. It is reference to the ASEAN qualifications framework, and what is recognized as a qualifications are those that does not only come from the formal track, but also from the informal and non-formal aspects. We have an existing policy also in the commission that we call the ETIAP, the equivalence, the expanded tertiary equivalency and accreditation system, that looks into your experience, your training, um, your other competencies that you have earned in some other ways, because that is actually how things should be. At some point, you may have been, and the pandemic taught us this, no, the disaster, a country like ours. At some point, you may have to stop schooling because of a disaster, whether man-made or natural disaster, or personal disasters. But it should not stop you from pursuing degree. In the meantime, you may have already work, started a career on another track, no. But if you need to learn new skills, update, and then go for a higher learning, the system must be open and flexible to allow and accept you, recognizing all of these things that you have also learned through the non-formal and informal systems.
Very
So yes,
helpful.
it's yeah. So we have that. We have what we call the Philippine qualifications framework, and that works hand in hand with the Philippine credit transfer system. But the one that is in place right now is still ETIAP. So if you want to do that now, there is the ETIAP system, while we're also developing further the PCTS. Yes.
Thank you, Attorney Emilia, for that answer. No, very, very helpful. And then Attorney Emilia actually put the email address of her office. No, it's ias@ched.gov.ph, ias@ched.gov.ph. Thank you very much. So if you have any more questions, any more inquiries or concerns, please feel free to email. I promise you they're very responsive. Whenever I email them, they answer right away. Okay. All right. We're down to our last 5 minutes. So in the last 5 minutes, I just want to ask one last question, and then we'll proceed to winding down our program. So, Attorney Emilia, you've been there for almost 20 years, and you've been in public service for even more. Now, I want to ask you on a personal note, what's next for you? What else do you want to accomplish in the next 20 years before you retire?
Professionally, I think I will still have to. I need to put out many of these learnings and experiences and best practices into something that others may learn from also, especially about the Philippines, our journey, our narratives. So it's a goal. It's a goal to have something published by end. On a personal note, I need to go back and um, do my poetry. Then I need
Wow.
to do some things that I really love doing. It's time to take care of my health. That is the most immediate plan. And and I look forward to having more fur babies, my dogs. I don't mention my, I don't know, I
How many
didn't
dogs do you have?
mention. I have
Yeah.
7 dogs. I have
Wow,
7 dogs.
7
I have
dogs. Wow.
7 dogs. And my husband still wants to have more dogs, our fur
Wow.
babies.
Yeah.
I don't
Um,
know whether I want to look forward to having my my grandchildren though. That is
it's
something
good.
that I have not yet quite settled.
Well, from my experience, my parents and my in-laws are very happy with their grandchildren. So I think it's something you can look forward to. And, thank you for that answer. And we wish you all the best, especially in the published things, not just on quality standards or the book, but also maybe on your poetry. No, we look
Yes.
forward to that. Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
no, yes. So, before we end tonight, thank you for answering that. No, thank you, Attorney Emilia, for generously sharing with us your knowledge and insights on the topic tonight, and for answering the questions, from me and our participants. And of course, I'd like also thank our participants who have stayed with us throughout our entire program. Now, but before we end, I'd like to present a certificate of appreciation for our guest today. In behalf of Utel University, we'd like to present the certificate of appreciation to Director Lily Milia of the International Affairs staff for sharing her valuable knowledge and insights on the topic of strengthening higher education institutions in the Philippines through internationalization. And we are so grateful for your time and your generosity today. And of course, we hope to invite you in our future um, events. No? Okay, so thank you. So I will send you a copy of this, of course, Director Ilya. So now, no, I think it's time for all of us, of course, to show some appreciation and to clap our hands for Dr. Amelia. Thank you very much. And then again, it's also time for us to see each other. No? So we'd like to request those who can turn on their cameras to do so we can take a Zoom fee, if that's what they call it. So please turn on your cameras for those who can and show us your best smile. And while our team or Rachel can take screenshots, okay? So let me just unpin um, Director Amelia and I uh, so we can see everybody. Yeah, there. Hi, Al. Nice to see you. Abby, so nice to see you. Hello. Of course, everyone. Wow, very nice. Give us your best smile. You don't know which page you're on. So, Rach, please count us off. You're on mute, Rach.
Okay, 1, 2, 3, smile.
Okay.
Okay. Next slides. 1, 2, 3, smile. And there you go.
All right. Okay. So we will now ask Rachel to post a certificate link for our participants in the chat. So you can fill in the form to get your certificate for tonight. And with that, in behalf of Utel University and our Chancellor, David Stufenmacher, thank you very much for joining us. And we hope to see you in our future events. So again, thank you, Attorney Emilia, for your time today. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.